needed today. It's needed today. We're gonna keep an eye out on the tunes, because I feel like the tunes are needed right now, especially the Christian music. We need to send them to Pennsylvania as soon as possible. We're gonna wait for some people to join in here. A few things to talk about today, as we are currently heading on our way to New Richmond, Wisconsin, to the Cedar Lake Speedway. Kind of a last second deal. Weather looked kind of iffy, but we decided to go ahead and take the trip as we are just now leaving a Love's travel stop. For the record, I don't know who out there travels a bit. Oh, okay, come on, Vin Diesel, fly on by. I hate these guys and their stupid look. It's like the junkiest BMW. It's like a 95 model, just revving her up. I hope he understands that BMW is not a very reliable vehicle. Definitely not as reliable as the Mitsubishi Lancer that we're in. If you noticed, our tent's still messed up in the back. Of course, 2019, state trooper in Florida said he had to be able to see through the tent, had to see the driver. We had to rip it out going down the highway. So if anyone ever asks about, hey, why does it look like your window's all busted out? Well, that's why that looks that way. Sort of kept it that way since we travel so much, didn't want to violate any other state laws, so why not just keep it empty? Once again, I want to give a big shout out to all the supporters here on the show, since we don't have the logos and everything going by. Impact signs, awnings, and wraps. Impact4800.com for all the stuff you may need there. Wraps, video boards, signs. You've seen the beautiful Chaz sign that we got at the little studio bar we got in Knoxville. Of course, Shield Protection, Kevin Sharrah there on the West Coast. If you have not checked them out, if you're in need of a fire suit as a racer out there, they're turning them around pretty quick, doing them in-house, and it's a really good business model that I think they got coming into the fire protection industry of racing. I think it's a really good idea how they're doing it. Quick turnarounds. Once again, you ain't waiting so long. We haven't forgot our buddies at Velocitus, so depending on which side of the country you're on, either option is good, but we are trying to help a good person in the racing industry, especially on the West Coast, Kevin Sharrah, get their shield protection going. Of course, he saved Justin Sanders from wearing the Bubbly brand suit that was so many years old. I did see on Jeremy Elliott's show the other day, they asked about Kevin Swindell and the Swindell Speed Lab 39. I would say they were talking about when that car's going to come back, and I would say to that, I did see Kevin Swindell in the pits. I don't know if it was helping a certain team or multiple teams, but he was in the pitting area at Knoxville when the World of Outlaws were there. So just to keep that in mind. Regardless, I want to thank Shield Protection and Little Pecker Landscaping over there on the West Coast, or East Coast in Reading, PA. If you need any landscaping done there in that central PA region, reach out to them. It is an actual company, Little Pecker Landscaping. And of course, we can't forget, we didn't forget them. I was just thinking of them, but I almost got into the subjects because there's some to talk about today. Prime Composite Innovations. Prime Composite Innovations. You need an affordable, durable, performing carbon fiber sprint car body. Micro body coming here very soon. I hear they're doing some deals in the micro world too. Reach out to Prime Clyde Knipp. They can get things out to you in a timely manner as well before the end of the season. If you're going to Knoxville, maybe you think you need a carbon fiber body, go ahead and hook that on, or get hooked up with Clyde, and I'm sure he can get you something in a timely manner in time to get things done. Of course, they're on Anthony Macri, Carson Macedo, Shark Racing, some pretty performing cars out there. And once again, definitely affordable in comparison to your other carbon fiber brands that are out there. And then, of course, Death Ridge Opticians. I know I'm not wearing them now, but we have the Death Ridge Opticians for night driving. If you have bifocals or anything like that, they can handle it. Accepting insurance, the same optician company servicing Donnie Schatz, Ryan Timms, Jonathan Davenport, many others in the racing world. Reach out to them. They're very well known in the late model world. Trying to help them get known here just a little bit in the sprint car world. Looking at the chats down there, no, we are not going to Lucas Oil. We are going to Cedar Lake. Both shows are kind of in threat of some weather, but to me, Cedar Lake is just one hell of a show. I can't miss it. There's a ton of things up here to do as well. The scenery's nice. If it's nice enough tomorrow, we might be floating the Apple River. We did bring our swim trunks to do so, but we're heading to Cedar Lake. And the rain chances that we're there for tomorrow are not as bad as they were, all week long. So looks good for today, good for tomorrow. We got the cot, we got our chair, we got our tent. We may throw up a tent. We got a pop-up tent, probably the baddest ass tent I've ever been around. I used it once so far this year at Osh Weekend. Literally, it was like opening an umbrella. I couldn't believe how fast the tent went up. I was very impressed. So we are heading to how massive is your hog? Oh, wow. How about that question? Well, if the hat doesn't say it, I don't know what else will, if you know what I'm saying. We do have a few things to talk about, though, that are very serious to the racing world. One of them being what happened yesterday at Mama's Pizza in Wellsville, Pennsylvania. We are going to get into the topics now. Let me see if there's anything to combat this. Let's see. Oh, God. Jesus songs are on. We're trying to help. Somebody said their Grove-bound baby heading to the Grove. I just pray, because obviously at Mama's Pizza in Wellsville, PA, Tyler Walker debuted the Rutherford Motorsports number 19R that is wrapped in the theme of the Rat Bag throwback of all them days we watched and played, maybe, the Tyler Walker paint scheme. And even though that scheme wasn't used often by Tyler in real life, it was very popular. Everything looked great, everything looked grand. But then the pictures started circulating of Tyler Walker with Holly LeMaster, which I was joking in my video about stay away from Yingling and this other thing called Holly LeMaster. Now, I don't know how deep I want to get into this subject because there is some very large, scary, unfathomable truths as to why I suggested that. Obviously, Tyler is trying to correct his life and his mistakes that he has admittedly made in choices and decisions. And he's even agreed when we had him on the show that product of your environment, or you are a product of your environment, is very, very true. And it's important to, in my opinion, the environment that is surrounding him in PA is in a joyous moment, a celebratory moment, is it hard to stay away from the beer in PA? Yingling, it isn't hard for me because it's trash. But is it hard to stay away from beer and the party scene and that environment in Pennsylvania sprint car racing? I would say it is. Now, is it hard to stay away from the extremes of that environment? Well, that is where discipline plays the factor. I've had my share of drinks over the years. I've had my share of fun over the years, but I have set hardcore boundaries in the hardcore usage departments of these party atmospheres. I'm not a hardcore drug supporter, doer, never have been, ever. People used to think that I was, because I would drive up and down the highway so far and so fast. How do you stay up? How do you make these trips? Coffee and cigarettes at the time. Now it's just nicotine with the dippers or a vape every now and then. So I know that these temptations are in these elements of racing in America, and PA is the Hollywood of sprint car racing. Now, fortunately for some, and unfortunately for others, there are influences within these scenes that lead to these influences. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say anything factually, but I have some videos and some evidence of these influences influencing things to happen. So I'm half kidding on this subject of influence. Notice how I'm doing that, influence. The name is dropped, but I'm not. There needs to be a guard of protection on Tyler right now. I know he's a man, he can think and act for himself and make decisions for himself, but I'm not saying he needs a guide, but the proper environment or the improper environment can be bridges that fill these gaps. Products of the environment. It's true. It's true. That's kind of all I have to say. And the people who want to keep on laughing, and once again, I'm halfway making jokes because, you know, you got to make jokes because if you take it too serious, you need serious evidence. Now, I've already deleted all the evidence because once I got it, I thought it was so disgusting I didn't want to see it no more. Because once again, I don't support that lifestyle. But everyone who thinks it's funny, it's not funny. If you care about Tyler Walker, not the badass race car driver that was the baby steps that got him to where he was. But, and once again, somebody says, that's T-Dub. We don't need no T-Dubs no more. T-Dub led to that path. We need T-Walk. Meaning walk away from certain scenarios and situations. Now, once again, maybe all these transitions and everything that he's been through is going to help his personal guidance a little easier. But me personally, yeah, thank you. Somebody just said spitting facts. That's what I'm fucking doing here. Me personally, I don't think that it's smart to have certain influences around him that have the knowing behind. First of all, everyone behind the scenes knows what I'm talking about. Everyone. I'm going up to Cedar Lake. I've been talking about this all day with some people privately, and they're bringing it up to me. And all I say is, yep, I've seen the videos too. So, this is a serious matter for those who care about Tyler Walker, the person. There are bridges of influence in the world that will take you to certain other influences of the world. Now, once again, I guess everybody has a past. But I'm only thinking about Tyler Walker. Because I care about this scenario. I've been molded into this scenario in very interesting ways. And I don't want to just sit back as me being somebody who talks about shit. I'm not just going to sit back and watch fucking sheeps run off the side of the damn mountain without at least stopping the herd and saying, hey, hold on a second. Hold on a second. What carrot's leading these dogs off the mountain? What carrot's leading them off the fucking mountain? Thank you, another person said truth. So I'm talking about the fucking carrot. Okay? Everybody else can laugh at the carrot and think it's funny and it's great. But I'm talking about the carrot. Anyways, exorcism potentially needed, back to the jokes, but I don't think it's fucking funny. Well, hopefully, you know, Tyler stays safe. You know, I've expressed on my shows before, or this last Monday during the call with Clark, that, you know, I'm 100% trying to be positive with this whole thing, but it is happening very fast. I would have liked to see Tyler run a few more races on the West Coast, get accumulated to the racing scene a little more before we send him into turn 3 at Williams Grove, which is what's happening tonight. You know, and here's why. Here's the problem. This is the main point with we're done with the influence part. We're talking about the racing part of Tyler Walker's PA Speed Week now. The reason I would have liked to seen that, and maybe had won a heat race on a quarter mile in California or something before we take these leaps. Which, once again, kudos to everybody taking the leaps. The belief in Tyler, I believe, is what he needs right now. And the self-belief that Tyler needs when he's going out there is what he needs as well. So the unruling confidence of this scenario is correct. Once again, we're talking about proper guidance. I would have liked to seen that simply to have something to show people. Because when you start dropping these fucking cars into turn 3 at Williams Grove, which is, in my opinion, the most technical fucking racetrack in the world. There's no other racetrack, and in my opinion, no other corner under full-blown race conditions that is more difficult to attack and navigate with 24 fucking 900 horsepower fire-breathing sprint cars than turn 3 at Williams Grove. So I would have liked to have some evidence to say, here's why he's coming on the track in that scenario at Williams Grove. Simply because, and even Port Royal or any of these fucking tracks, because here's the problem. I know I'm cussing because I'm about to get very serious. Volusia better than I never was. Okay. Does anybody remember what happened last week at Port Royal? Remember that at Port Royal last week? What happened with Doug Hammaker? Do y'all remember that? If you didn't see it, Doug Hammaker went into turn 1. I believe this was last week. It was recent if it wasn't last week. Doug Hammaker went into turn 1, made a driver error, spun the fucking car out at high speed, and he's been racing all year, has experience, hasn't had years off or anything. Spun it out, backed it into the wall. Another car came head into him. I believe it was Austin Hogue. I glanced at this. I didn't hinder on it because I wanted Jeremy to have the PA news and the attention, so I tried not to get too much into it. But here's my reasoning to this. Doug Hammaker went into the corner at Port last week, made a driver error, spun the fucking car out all on his own, backed it into the wall. A guy came along, I believe it was Austin Hogue, if I'm wrong, correct me. Another driver came in there, hit a Doug Hammaker's car that was self-inflicted an incident, and I believe broke his arm, and the car's destroyed. Okay? Now, the reaction to that wreck was Doug Hammaker made a mistake, got in the slick, cooked the car a little bit, spun it out, and an unfortunate injury occurred in the event of that incident. So, that's fine, right? It's Doug Hammaker. Driver error. That's it. Here's why I think it's important to have a little example of control on this Tyler Walker thing before you throw him into fucking Williams Grove or Port or anything like this. I'm not going to sit here and say there may not be a little rust. And in a fucking 900 horsepower sprint car these racetracks in PA, a little rust is all it fucking takes. For somebody as great as Tyler Walker, a little rust is all it fucking takes to go in there into turn 1 at Port or 3 at Williams Grove and make a little mistake and loop the car around and back the shit in the wall. The only difference is that if Tyler Walker goes into a race at any, loops that motherfucking car right over just a little driver error, just like Doug. Guy comes in there and smashes into Tyler Walker, injured. That scenario is going to be the same as Doug Hamaker. I have a little bit of a hint to think that it's not going to be the same. It's going to be, this is why you don't let this druggie out here. This is why you shouldn't have brought him back. This is why, Ron. This is why we said it was. This is why everybody's talking shit. This is why he doesn't belong in a race car. This is why even if y'all could get the car fixed, he shouldn't be racing anymore this week. Say it happens tonight or next or Saturday or whatever. They're gonna fucking call for his head, and they're gonna say it's because he was a fucking druggie and this is why. And it could be just a normal mistake. Has nothing to do with drug usage behind the wheel or anything of the sorts, but because of the optics of the situation. Just like the fucking watch on the wrist of Rico. Don't matter if you're using it or not. What are the critics gonna say? What's it look like? So that's the only problem with coming back so quick, so fast, without any legible evidence of success on even the quarter miles in California. Yeah, he was able to control the car and stuff, but it ain't quarter miles in California. It's half miles in PA. It's the most technical racetrack in the world in Williams Grove. And it's places where, just like a Doug Hamaker situation happens, where all it takes is a little mistake and the car's gone. And then whatever happens after that could happen or could hurt someone else. I'm not saying people don't deserve second chances. I'm 85% behind this scenario occurring. I just think there's a 15% in there that is going to get Tyler to be judged very unfairly if anything goes wrong. If a Doug Hamaker situation happens with Tyler Walker, the notion's not going to be, well, Doug just got in there and missed his line. You think the haters or the people against this are talking now? You think they're a little loud? Let a little thing go wrong with Tyler this week. Just a little thing go wrong. The Doug Hamaker situation was just a little mistake. It had a bad result at the end of the incident, somebody getting injured. But let it go a little wrong. Let Tyler race a guy off the corner and just clip his front a little bit, or just a tight racing incident. Tyler could be not in fault at all. But because of the optics of this, because of the quickness, the turnaround here, the optics is gonna, the response is not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good. There is a fucking light shined on this Walker situation. I'm not saying they're setting him up for failure. It's a big fucking spotlight. Tyler Walker wanted this. He's getting it. And that's why I think environment's so important, because it needs to be about focus. I just hope everyone in that camp in this scenario this week understands the level of risk that is on the line, and the level of criticism that if anything goes wrong here, if anything goes wrong, it's like it's gonna be a firestorm. And I think it's unfair. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm simply saying, since things moved at a very rapid pace, there could be some rapid fire in response if anything unnatural occurs. I think he belongs behind the wheel of a race car. I think Tyler Walker has the ability to drive race cars. But I think anybody who's gone for extended period of time needs to get acclimated a little bit. Just gone, not even in the Tyler Walker instance with the drugs and all this other stuff. Just somebody who's been gone from the sport in general needs to get some rust knocked off. I don't know if it's too fast or not. Now, I think everybody with the confidence in that camp and the confidence of Tyler Walker when we had him on our shows, for what they're doing, they need that fucking confidence to even execute in the ability that they have to shove it in everyone's face. They need to be able to shove all the doubters, slap them in the fucking face, because they're getting a lot of criticism for it being so fast. I've received criticism for being supportive of it. But once again, these critics are just fucking waiting. And it's going to be unfair judgment. You let fucking Tyler Walker have a Doug Hammaker normal race car driver mistake, and somebody get injured, or himself get injured, which is the really scarier angle. I pray for that to not happen. But you let a normal racing incident occur with Tyler Walker, the judgment of that scenario is not going to be normal. It's not going to be normal. But anyway, that's my whole wrap up on that whole ordeal. Influences, I hope people have let everyone know what the carrot's all about. And hopefully it all goes smooth, because we got bigger plans for Tyler Walker. This PA Speed Week, if everything goes smooth with Tyler Walker, I'm a part of a deal. This is not the end for Tyler Walker's comeback. He's not going to go do PA Speed Week and then go back to California and just be in California waiting for another opportunity. There's potentially huge plans for Tyler Walker, which privately everyone is aware of as well. So adding to a little more pressure on the scenario this week, privately. I hope it goes well. I spoke in very big support with Tyler on the show, with Ron, publicly and privately. I'm just a little bit worried on the judgment factor, especially after seeing that Doug Hammaker situation last week. Thinking if that happens, if the little rush shows, just a smidget of rush shows, and you have a similar Doug Hammaker scenario happen, the reaction is going to say, never let them back on a track again. We can't let them. This is proof. Just saying, is that fair? No, don't think it's fair. But anyway, I'm circling there a little bit. Just to wrap it up before we read some of your comments, and to give you all a little bit of for those who have joined, we are heading to Cedar Lake right now. I think it's one of the best races of the year, one of the best racetracks in the country. Tonight and tomorrow night, the weather was iffy. It's cleared up. It's looking better. So that's where we're heading currently right now. We'll be there tonight and tomorrow night. Racing is happening at Lucas Oil as well as Knoxville. We almost stayed and went to Knoxville, but we're deciding to head up to Cedar Lake. We've heard some good things about racing tonight, and we have some fans we have to meet up there. But Lucas Oil last night, of course, Aaron Reutzel picked up the win. And I thought Tanner Thorson is finally getting to click on all cylinders, and once he qualifies well, it's going to be very interesting. I know when Tanner Thorson announced he was going full-time 410 racing at the beginning of High Limit, I was in big support, thought he could be a threat for the championship, and up front at least. I was laughed at by the entire sprint car industry. All the people you see praising Thorson now were laughing at me in private conversation. I think Tanner Thorson's a top talent just because of what I've seen him do in midgets, California, and sprint cars. He's just one of those guys. I think he can do it. Of course, racing in sprint cars 410 isn't necessarily the driver. It's everything else. They built that coilover package over this time period, and if they hit on something and find something, it could become unstoppable because the vehicles are so important in today's world. Now, Aaron Reutzel gets out in victory lane, and before thanking a damn sponsor, he immediately goes after the Huset High Bank Nationals and just trashes the format. Basically says, so good to be in a format that is normal. Not based, I'm no quoting, but the paraphrase was like, dealing with that trash-ass joke of a format last week, which Aaron Reutzel left on Friday of the High Banks Nationals. Of course, the hustle was the 2 days prior, but he drove out after heat racing events on Friday. Of course, a lot of people privately were upset at the format at Huset's. Not only the format, but track conditions as well. A lot of people were logically saying if you have a format like that, you need at least a track that widens out so you can make up and pass on the speedway. Select few were able to make the passes. A select few, or a decent amount, were not. I suggested on the show that the point structure of qualifying and heat racing needs to kind of be tweaked because I don't think the format's bad. I think guys need to race. We need entertainment-purposed events. I think inverts are going to do that more so than your traditional formats. But the point structure of the qualifying versus the heat races kind of made, in my opinion, guys want to sandbag. Not, I think when you do have to set some kind of point structure up to where you're forcing guys to do the best they can in qualifying instead of, running your heat race nozzles and muffler package, hoping you're a half-tenth off or something. Once again, I talked about this on my video. Is it right or wrong for these guys to criticize the formats, the inverts from Huset's the last week? It was hard to pass. Like I said, some guys got it done, some guys didn't. But the bigger problem with this entire scenario is Aaron Reutzel, the character Aaron Reutzel, is very, do I say selfish in a way? I think I've said this before, actually. If he would have won Huset's, you probably wouldn't have heard nothing bad about it. But since he did do so bad and left in the heat race, we're hearing about it a week later. And that's kind of Aaron Reutzel's MO. That's what I've always said. He'd be a great bad guy for the sport, but he's just too mean to be a bad guy. He doesn't joke enough. Most of your great bad guys are at least funny, whereas Aaron Reutzel is just mean and bad. So, and he is, I don't want to say wishy-washy, but I do think his opinion is swayed based on his personal performance. So that is an angle. Of course, the other side of the coin, you could say that with the Huset's group. We all saw the Dennis Gainey, Todd Quiring tweet back and forth. Of course, Dennis Gainey, car owner of Caleb Johnson this year, who's a dedicated Huset's car, defending Huset's track champion, I believe the Huset's points leader, and is also the son of Doug Johnson, one of the head honcho, or the head honcho of the promotional group at Huset's. And you saw him criticize the format as well in a slight, and Todd Query come on there and criticize him as a car team manager. I don't know if that was like a signal or a sign, like, hey, even though you're giving or done a deal here with Caleb Johnson, who's connected to Doug, my guy, it doesn't just give you a green light to trash my track or my event. So maybe that's what that was. I don't know. The tweet or the reply from Todd to Dennis Gainey's tweet has been deleted since, but I've heard privately it's still getting around on both ends, and both sides are kind of happy with what they said, I guess. Of course, I do believe it's the Dennis Gainey group and RSR, the Aaron Reutzel group, who are putting on a July 4th party in the Knoxville area. So there's the triangle to this scenario. Kind of interesting. But yeah, Aaron Reutzel is just selfish, if we're talking about just his comments. But selfishness is a part of the sport. I mean, I would say probably 85-90% of this sport and its people in it are straight selfish. Now, some people put on a face when their camera comes on and act like they're not selfish, or make Facebook posts and Twitter posts that aren't selfish, but 90% of them are selfish. So there's maybe some respect to Aaron Reutzel as well, that he isn't hiding selfishness. But that's why I have more respect for Aaron Reutzel than maybe, I mean, there's only probably about 5 to 10% of the Aaron Reitzels out there that, are kind of selfish and just make it known and don't give a fuck. And there's respect to Todd and everybody as well. And then there's still that 75 to 80% total, though, that are just straight selfish and don't let nobody know and acts nice. Or there's the don't let nobody know group, and we'll say that's probably 30%. So you're like, okay, I get it. And then what are we down there to 40% that's left that acts really nice and happy and he on camera, and then they're still just as selfish, which you have no respect. I don't have no respect for those characters, and don't associate or really know any of those people personally. I have observed, and I don't need to involve myself, but there's still the 10% that are really good and actually show it as well. So that's how the sport breaks down its personality. So I feel like Reutzel and even Querying and some of these other characters get a bad rap, but at least they're being forward with it, of how they feel and how they think. They don't give a fuck. And that carries, it should carry, for y'all who may not be behind the scenes enough, that should carry an immense amount of respect over these majority 70 or at least 40% that are flip-floppers 100% of the time. Kind of in the gray areas, maybe that 30% that is just who they are and don't really say or protrude anything. But anyway, I don't know. I mean, Aaron Reutzel's Aaron Reutzel. I mean, he is what he is. He shows it. He's shown himself. He can be great. He can be grand. He treats certain people differently based on how he feels, and he treats other people differently based on how he feels. And does that situationally change? I mean, maybe it situationally changes. I mean, I've dealt with two sides of Aaron Reutzel before. I've never dealt with the fake side of Aaron Reutzel. People's opinions of individuals, events, formats, tracks can change. I mean, a good point somebody made about Husets and all that was, where were all these complainers the last 2 years at Knoxville, where Kyle Larson's led every single lap for 2 years? Nobody's passed Kyle Larson for the lead, I think, at Knoxville the last 2 years. Last year's A-Main at Knoxville was, what was that? And even the track workers there were like, what the hell? They got the new dirt in there. They've had some issues. You could have been critical of Knoxville last year in their racing. But look at this year. I mean, the Knoxville Raceway has put on some of the best sprint car racing, I think, this year. And even when the Outlaws were in town 2 weeks ago, the heat racing at Knoxville was potentially the best heat racing we've ever seen on a half-mile track without an invert. You may get something like that at Kings Royal, but Kings Royal's a 12-car invert or 10-car invert. So that's different. Standard Outlaw format, I don't think we've seen a better set of heat races ever than Knoxville 2 weeks ago. And so look at what Knoxville did. Main event was amazing. All night was amazing. The earlier races in the year were amazing. So that's why I mean situationally, and the situations can change. Huset goes out there, gets new dirt on the track. They come out next year, and it's a damn Cedar Lake track that can stay slick for 3 or 4 hours and puts on some of the best racing you've ever seen. Then what does Aaron Reutzel have to say? You know, then what is Gainey's and anybody who's ever been critical of the events got to say? Don't they have to give them their due then? Don't they have to say, wow, I mean, don't they have to give the praise if Huset gets the track surface together? And the format works beautifully, because I don't think the format's wrong. Like I said, I think you could manipulate the points a little bit to keep people from trying to sandbag and get a good starting spot, but we need more formats where guys get stacked in a heat race and are deep in a main, and we got guys coming through the field and stuff like that, and it's putting on a good show. That's why I think the Kings Royal's been a great show, due to the forced invert situation. And people try to sandbag that, but Eldora widens up enough and it gets racy enough that stuff can be made up. But you look at the Kings Royal when Donnie won it, not this last year, but the year before, I believe, and they had a lot of rain, single lane track. The invert people got screwed. Donnie started pole or second or somewhere right there, took the lead and never looked back. Track never widened out at all due to weather conditions. Now you can go there all the other times and it's completely opposite. But things can happen. And no excuse, but it was 100+ degrees and sustained 20-mile-an-hour winds at Huset's all last week. Caused them to overwork the track, preventing rubber. Wednesday's heat races were a little different, but once again, Huset does some stuff differently, changes the soil up. Then what happens? Then what's said? Inside berm. I think, yeah, maybe inside berm 3 and 4 could be made, maybe pushed in halfway, widen the track out, maybe take some banking away. Could be amazing racing. And then where's Aaron Reutzel and all these critics? I was extremely critical in the years past, because I want Huset to succeed. I think Huset is important for the sport to elevate. There's other facilities, but there's none like Huset's that's putting the money into the sport that they are. And their success is kind of needed. Their show to be really good is needed, because that's a facility that's going to propel the sport forward. Those events and the money they're putting on is something that's going to propel the sport forward. It is going to be a staple. The inside berm is too far out, and that's the real problem. I mean, you could say that, but the soil is also an issue. You could have tracks that are baked like that. I'm going to Cedar Lake right now, guys. Cedar Lake is comparable in baking to Huset's. It can take rubber, but you could slick Cedar Lake off for a long time. Widen out, ice rink, good speed on the cushion, toting the bottom. Oshweekend, you know, another example of a track that goes slick, stays slick, widens out. You put a format like Huset's at Oshweekend, for instance, I don't think anybody has a problem, you know, because they can move around and race. You put that format at Cedar Lake, I don't think they got a problem. The Kings Royals format, they don't got a problem. But Huset's knows this, so they're working on it. It does probably suck, though. I could see the angle. No matter how bad the racing or single lining it may be or whatever, that you put in $800,000 in 1 week, or 850, and you get at the end of the week, you spend $850,000 on these people, on the sport, and people are extremely critical to the point they're trashing you the next weekend in victory lane. That's the worst date you could probably ever have. $850K. So I can understand that perspective as well, as wanting a little more appreciation. But never satisfied, guys. They're never satisfied. And it shouldn't be. I mean, shouldn't be okay. There is valid criticism. And it's America. You know, to dish it, you got to take it. It's very true. I've had to learn that the easy and hard way. It is America. Dish it and take it. And if you can't, then you're fucked. You'll crack. Why didn't they change the track? They were just dealt with what they got. And it's going to cost a lot of money to change the track. You know, it is going to cost a lot. They're doing soil samples and tests, trying to get the right soil to when they spend all this money to resurface the track, that they don't have to do it again. So hitting the home run on the new surface is very expensive and important. And so testing soil samples and things like that isn't, you know, Knoxville distance, you know, to get dirt up there and resurface is upwards of $700,000 to $1 million. Not $700,000 just to get the dirt there. For instance, if Huset wanted the Knoxville dirt, it would cost that much just to get it there. So they're trying to find something adequate to different soil closer than that, so it's not that big of a ticket. I know I suggested in my video, hell, I'd be hitting up the state of South Dakota or Sioux Falls and looking to get grants or something to get these other people to do the damn thing for them. That's my opinion. Or at least put half the bill, look at Huset as a future venue, look at what we're doing, sort of like the Port Royal angle, some of these other angles, Adventureland, amusement parks, they get grants from the state, performing venues get grants from states. Maybe chop that bill a little bit. Maybe they've already looked into that, maybe they are looking into that. That's what I suggested, to knock that bill down a little bit. So anyway, so that's my opinion on both scenarios. Apparently at 4 o'clock there will be like a judgment. I don't know what the full scenario is, but apparently there might be some issues at Cedar Lake because they had a lot of rain. Apparently on the pit side they're talking about it's a little washy in the pitting area. So at 4 o'clock, apparently they're going to make some style of decision. Not sure if that's made public or not, but it is a talk in the pitting area, although I'm not there right now. This is the information I'm receiving. But it does look like the weather is good tonight. It looks like it'll be good tomorrow up until about 10 o'clock. And that's when you have some threat of rain at Cedar Lake. But the chances have been dying down even more. Regardless, thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to go in the I'll be wearing my this attire today, the Little Pecker stuff. If you're up at Cedar Lake, I got some Chaz stickers with me if you'd like to get some off of me. Tomorrow we have our purple Ginger Kitty shirt, so if we see you tomorrow, we'll be in our purple Ginger Kitty shirt. And if anybody wants to go down the Apple River, I'm seriously contemplating doing a float down the Apple River tomorrow. We did bring our swim trunks. It is supposed to get into the 80 to 85 degree range. Could be a very fun, enjoyable moment. Tomorrow during the day up here at Cedar Lake. I haven't done that before. I kind of want to. We did have a great salmon dinner last night, but that did flare up my gout a little bit, so I'm having some feet pains, but fuck it. I'm living life. I'll push through it. We'll make it to the other side. So if anybody's going to be up to Cedar Lake, say hi, hit me up. We'll be at the barn after the race. If they don't shut the whole thing down tonight, if they do race, we'll be there after race. If they do not race, we'll be there a little earlier. And then, of course, we'll be watching Tyler Walker, guys. Tyler Walker's going to be a very interesting thing. If you haven't hit me up on Facebook just yet, go follow us over there, Long Live the Chaz. Send us a message on the page to say hi or whatever at Cedar Lake. Then, of course, we have our t-shirt presentation as well. I'm going to keep that as a secret until we do it. Of course, if you want your own Ginger Kitty shirt, LongLiveTheChaz.com to get that, as well as stickers are for sale on the website, but we're pretty much almost out of those. And once again, before we get out of here, impact signs, awnings, and wraps. If you need a sign for your business, stickers as well, wraps on your vehicle, hit them up. Impact 4800. Carbon fiber, prime composite innovations. If any of you sprint car teams need affordable carbon bodies, get that little bit of performance advantage, hit up Clyde Knipp at Prime Composite Innovations. If you need optics, your glasses, I'll be wearing mine tonight. Deckridge Opticians, hit them up, ask for the Chazzy Special. And then those in Central PA, Little Pecker Landscaping. It is an actual company, guys. Little Pecker Landscaping. Hit them up. They can handle all your needs landscaping wise in the Central PA, preferably Reading area. So outside of those guys, Kevin Sharrah with Shield Protection. Be sure to hit them up if you need a new fire suit, new rope to get out onto the racetrack. Hit up Kevin Sharrah at Shield Protection on Facebook as well. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we're heading to Cedar Lake. Please like the video, share the channel around. We need to get these views up. The channel's doing well, but we need to get them up. The YouTube's tough. Our Facebook, we're reaching 3 million people a month, guys. We're only in the 250 to 300K here on YouTube. I know it's a different platform. I know the viewing audience is a little harder to get, but our TikTok's 700K, our Facebook's 3 million a month. Let's get these YouTube subs up. Spread the channel around. Talk to your buddies about it. Tell them where the truth is located. Of course, there's 3 versions of truth. This is just mine. But not only subscribe yourself, but get out there and spread the word of the Chaz. Go onto the website, support the channel. Links in the description. PayPal, Venmo to directly support the channel. Get your name listed in the description below. Also, you can listen to some of our music on Spotify, Apple Music, all of the sorts. We have those out there for the This Is How We Do songs, the Carson Macedo song. New song that just came out recently, 'Cause I'm Bad, is out. So search the Chaz on all your music platforms. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow me on TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, or X. We're all across them all, even Instagram. I know it's hard for me to like Instagram, but we're on there. Regardless, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. As always, be sure to subscribe. And we'll see you at Cedar Lake here in just a few hours. If not, we'll see you right back here on the channel next time. Thanks again. Bye. Don't sue me, Todd. Just telling the truth.